As heavy fighting continues in western Mosul, Iraqi commanders say that they are pushing closer to the Al-Nouri Mosque, where Islamic State's leader proclaimed a caliphate 3 years ago. Hundreds of thousands of people have already fled the city, while hundreds of thousands more remain trapped.
وحتى من تحررت هم تعبانه الموصل، يعني اطفال عيله بعيلتها تموت يقع عليها البيت. شنو هذا؟ لا كان ما يريدون تحرير احسن.
At a hearing on Capitol Hill, questions were asked about allegations the U.S. coalition killed hundreds of civilians in air raids on the Iraqi city of Mosul. The head of the U.S. Central Command was among those testifying.
Question there. First off,
there have been a number of press reports about civilian casualties in Mosul.
These are absolutely tragic and heartbreaking situations. The enemy does use human shields, has little regard for human life, and does attempt to use civilian casualty allegations as a tool to hinder our operations.
The implication is now we are carelessly dropping bombs and killing civilians.
We have not relaxed the rules of engagement.
Well, you might have expected that with all the allegations about civilian casualties that keep adding up, that Congress would grill U.S. Central Command and demand answers, ask them what's going on. That's not really the tone that we heard today in Congress. In fact, congressmen were justifying U.S. actions in Mosul. It turned into what you might be able to call a kind of friendly examination, where congressmen were almost hinting to Votel what his answers should be before he gave them. Let's take a listen to what went on at the hearing.
With regard to collateral damage, no one cares more about civilian casualties than the United States military.
For my colleagues, I want to make sure you understand what the laws of armed conflict are. That if we have a legitimate target, we do everything we can to minimize civilian casualties, but we're not allowed to target civilians. We never target civilians. Is ISIS targeting civilians?
I believe they are.
Absolutely. If we are not hitting legitimate military targets and allowing these terrorists to continue to live, then we are actually allowing them to continue to kill civilians. Additionally, it's my view that as we move closer into the urban combat into Mosul and they're using human shields, civilian casualties are going to go up. This is a horrible element of war, that ISIS started this war. So do you agree that some of the high level of, I think, ridiculous standard that we had previously has now created this behavior by ISIS that they now realize if they take human shields, they're going to avoid being struck, and that actually this is adding to the problem?
Congresswoman, I do believe they understand our sensitivity to civilian casualties, and they're exploiting that. And I do agree that as we move into these urban environments, it is going to become more and more difficult to apply extraordinarily high standards for the things that we're doing, although we will try.
It seems that no matter how extreme the allegations get, Washington officials, whether they be the Pentagon brass or members of Congress, are going to try and justify U.S. actions.